Good evening, brothers, and welcome to another edition of the District of Illinois Fireside Chat. I am Brother Leonard C. McInnes, the Illinois District Director, and I am joined with our District Historian, Brother Chuck Smoot. Brother Smoot, how are you tonight?
I am doing well, Brother McInnes. How about yourself?
I'm okay. I could be better, but I'm not going to complain tonight. So,
well, you can't keep a good man down.
Look, we've had a great Black History sessions in February with some really good brothers. And the Midwest region is presently preparing to descend upon Detroit for the Midwest Regional Convention. And we thought that as we prepared to go to Detroit, we would have a fireside chat with our regional vice president. And Brother Smoot, I am excited to have Brother Stacy here tonight as his successor in our district. I look forward to hearing from him and hearing about his journey in the fraternity, but also to the seat of an RVP and a general board member of our beloved fraternity. What are you most looking forward to tonight, Brother Smoot?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Brother Stacy got made during the best semester, one of the best semesters ever, spring '87. But
I didn't realize we were saying.
We'll deal with that a little later. You don't understand how spring '87 rolls. But as Brother Stacy is a brother's brother, and I have appreciated and enjoyed working under him as both on the district level and on the regional level. So I am very interested and very excited in learning and hearing him talk about his journey and what he has accomplished and what he sees to what's coming next. And so I'm sure it's going to be a dynamic conversation.
I think so as well. One of the things, and I actually said this to Brother Stacy recently, one of the things I've learned to appreciate about our RVP is that he gives it to you straight. And,
yes, absolutely.
That is not a very common characteristic, right? There are ways in which brothers often skid around or don't come, bearing the straight news. What I appreciate about our RVP here in the Midwest region is that he delivers it, and he delivers it. He's stern, but he also has the fraternity's best interest at heart. And so, Brother Smoot, I don't want to hold too much of our time this evening before we get to the conversation. So with that being said, to those in the listening audience, we see you chiming in on both YouTube and Facebook. Do us a favor, share this fireside chat. The numbers are growing already, and we're excited that you're here with us tonight. Share it in both spaces. And with that being said, Brother Smoot, I am going to welcome to the stage the Midwestern Regional Vice President for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Brother Franklin Stacy Jr.
Hey,
Brother Stacy.
How we doing?
Doing well. Good evening, Brother Stacy. Good to see you tonight.
Great to see you too.
Yeah,
Brother Stacy, it is our pleasure once again to have you here with us and spend a few minutes with us to talk about you and your vision and your experiences. And we do appreciate you taking the time out of your so very busy schedule, because I know Alphas work you to death. So, so we are happy that you were able to take some time to spend with us this evening.
Thank you for having me, Brother Smoot.
Brother McInnes, before we get started, is there anything else you want to, any other parting words before we get right into everything?
No, I do want to, I told Brother Stacy I want to apologize. I am under the weather, and he has given me the green light to go in the background. He says he's in good hands, but I look forward to watching this conversation, Brother Smoot. So good luck tonight. You have a good audience. It's growing. So
absolutely.
I'm gonna go ahead and head off.
All right, brother District Director, thank you, and we'll bring you back towards the end. Before we get started, Brother Stacy, I just want to go over a little bit of your background, just to familiarize brothers who do know what you're about, but those who may not be fully aware. Brother Stacy was initiated into the Eta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated at Western Illinois University on April 19th, 1987. Again, spring '87. That was a wonderful time.
Great time, brother. Great time.
And while he was a active member of the Eta Eta chapter. He later assisted in the rechartering of Kappa Pi Lambda chapter in Peoria. He served in several capacities, as a member of that chapter. He served as a area director, area director for Area 6, alumni advisor, a chief dean, chief fellow under MIP, and was a popular trainer for area directors, alumni advisors, and IMDP trainers. And he was a master trainer. He was elected as a district director for the District of Illinois and served there with extreme distinction, at the behest of the brothers in the district, particularly of the college brothers. We'll talk about that. And then he decided to keep going. He couldn't get enough work done, and he decided to run for.
Sounds good, brother. Sounds good.
Run for the office of regional vice president, where he currently serves, and he has been a dynamic regional vice president during his tenure. Brother Stacy is currently a member of Kappa Pi Lambda, in addition to his role as regional vice president. He is married to his wife, Georgia. He has 3 children and has 5 grandchildren. So officially, Brother Stacy.
Now 7 grandchildren.
Now 7 grandchildren. I'm sorry.
Great grandchild.
Well, look at you. You are just blessed.
Hey man, my army is growing, bro.
I see.
Take over.
I see. Well, once again, Brother Stacy, my brother, thank you for joining us tonight. Let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk a little bit about what led you to attend Western, and how did you first become affiliated with Alpha Phi Alpha?
Thank you for that question, bro. And I'll try to give the short version. We're talking about 1985 when I graduated from high school. So this was before internet, before emails, before. I mean, there were cell phones, but us low budgeted, low income, black men in the hood didn't have them, especially a high school student. But I was blessed to have the athletic ability, and my sport of choice was track and field. Although I did play football, and it was the stay out of how your coaches always want you to do. All year round sports. So football was my stay out of trouble sport,
right?
And track and field was my main sport. And so I'm a 4-time varsity letter winner, captain of the track team, and I'm a product of Peoria Public Schools District 150. So I graduated from high school, bro, and I never even talked to a high school counselor or visited a college or a university or anything. The only conversation that my high school advisor had with me was, you currently have a 1.999 GPA. You need a 2.0 to go to college. That was it. God is my witness. I'm embarrassed to say. But after graduating, man, I was just, I didn't know what was next. I had not spoken to anybody. Nobody had, gave me any ideas. But, thank God I received a phone call. And, during those times, you had to be home to receive a phone call.
Right.
And I just so happened to be home, and I received a phone call, and it was from a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in the 110 high hurdles, Lee Calhoun, who I found out later is an alpha man.
Mm-hmm.
He just so happened to be the coach of Western Illinois University. And he asked me, had I chose a school yet? And I told him, no, I haven't. And he said, well, what was your ACT score? Believe it or not, bro, I had not even taken the ACT.
Wow.
So, I hadn't even taken the ACT. So he sent the assistant coach. First, he asked me if I could come to Macomb. Didn't know where Macomb was. Didn't have no transportation to Macomb. And he asked me if I could come. I told him I couldn't. He said, "Okay, I'll send the assistant coach." Sent the assistant coach. Stayed at Brother Calhoun's house. Got to actually hold, Olympic gold medals.
Wow.
Which was great. And
Yeah.
I took the ACT. I took an entrance exam, and I, then went back home, and I ended up getting accepted well, I got a letter in the mail on a Friday evening when the mail ran, telling me that I needed to show up to the school on Monday to register for classes. It
Oh,
was that
wow.
close. Yeah, 2 days.
Wow.
Like, I had 2 days, and my summer track coach is a WIU alumnus. He met his wife there, who's a WIU alumnus, and so he was like, "Well, his name is Larry Hendricks," and he said, "Well, you got accepted, so if this is where you want to go, I'll get you there." He had a van because he used to pick up a lot of the kids, and take them to track meets and things like that and everything.
Hmm.
And he packed up my stuff. We packed up my stuff, and he brought me to Macomb. And I joked because he didn't help me carry anything in. You know, I had to do all the work myself. And he gave me some money and said, "Here you go." And I remember, just as clear as day as I'm telling the story, sitting on my bed, not knowing who my roommate was going to be, wondering, okay, what do I do next? But it was, I was able to ask questions and get around and meet people
Hmm.
and of course with the assistance of the athletic department, register and really that's how I ended up in Macomb at Western Illinois University.
And so, what was your first exposure to the fraternity? Like, how did you get exposed, and what were your initial impressions of the individuals in the fraternity?
Well, I saw a lot of Greek letters that not knowing that they were Greek letters.
Hmm.
Both predominantly black organizations and predominantly white organizations. I noticed that they all had particular colors. And so, I just saw it, and I'm like, okay. Ended up going to a party, and those that are probably on the call that are from Western Illinois back in those days probably remember we used to have parties at Horban Hall, and I went to a party at Horban Hall, and it was I don't know who threw the party, but it was a party that I saw just beautiful black people, man, just enjoying themselves, having fun, dancing. I also noticed that there were Greek letter organizations, both male and female, that were strolling around the party. And at that time, everyone danced in the middle while
Right.
everyone strolled in a
Right.
circle around the outside. And
Right.
that and so when I hear college brothers talk about strolling, and we've
Right.
always been
Right.
strolling. It's
Exactly.
just that when it was time to showcase our talent, that's when we put on a step show.
Snuff show.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
That's when we put on a step show. And so, all it took was some music, and you were strolling at the party.
Yep.
So, I saw that, and I tell this story because a lot of people, in all honesty, I used to be a little embarrassed to tell the story because I would hear people say, how they found Alpha Phi Alpha, and it was so inspirational, because they're inspired by Dr. King and Thurgood
Hmm.
Marshall and so
Hmm.
forth and so on. But in all honesty, bruh, at that party, there just so happened to be a fight. And there was one alpha, and well, let me put it this way. At the time, there was one guy who was wearing an A with another letter in the middle and another A, and he was wearing black and gold. And then there was another group that had some really weird letters, but they were wearing blue and white.
Okay.
And I found out later that it was something that stemmed from the summertime. But they ended up attacking him, and the party ended up breaking up, and all of a sudden, uh, we all had to go home. So,
Hmm.
me and a few guys that I, was familiar with, we ended up going back to the dorms or whatever, because, we didn't really know anybody. We were freshmen, and, went on about our merry way. But then next week there was another party.
Hmm.
And I went to the party, of course, again. And I walked in and I saw this one particular guy with those A letters on and with the black and gold, and he was confronting a bunch of the guys in the blue and white.
Hmm.
And I'm a product of my environment.
Right.
From the south side of Peoria, Illinois. All summer during my school years, I used to run around the west side of Chicago.
Hmm.
I was really, I had this rough exterior. I was attracted to negativity. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Hmm.
And so when I saw that, it caught my attention, but I was very um, intrigued. I'm looking at this guy like, oh my God, like, this dude is giving it to these dudes, man. Like, I mean, there must be something about him. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
There must be something about him. And then I went into the party and I saw all the sororities strolling, everyone dancing in the middle, but the
Hmm.
only fraternity that was strolling was those guys that were in black and gold. And they showed up in numbers.
Hmm.
They showed up in numbers. And I looked and I said, hey, if I'm going to be a part of a group, it's going to be those guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, I
And
totally get it.
yeah. And so, one of my shippy, who is my shippy, who he who was really a good friend of mine at the time that I met. He was out of Chicago, Walter Cooper.
Walter Cooper, my good friend,
Yes,
my
yes,
high school
yes,
classmate. So
yeah.
yeah.
He told me, he was like, hey man, they got this interest group called the Aristocrats. You should come with me. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. So we went to the informational, because that's what they were. Well, we went to the smoker.
Okay.
Let me
Right.
call it what it really
That's
was at
that's
that
what we
time.
had back then with
Yeah,
smokers.
yeah, it was called a smoker. So we went to the Aristocrat smoker, and we I'm gonna skip some parts because we ended up becoming aristocrats, and that was something that as first semester freshmen, because you don't have a transcript, it
Hmm.
allows you to be a part of the Black and Gold family. We had a president, vice president, I mean,
Yep.
all of that. We had a treasurer.
Yep.
Even though if we had a party and we made money, the bros took our money from us. So listen, hey, the brothers on the call, y'all owe me some money. But yeah, but we still had a treasurer. Somebody had to take the money and turn it over to the treasurer of the chapter.
Right. Right.
Um, and so the time came in the spring to join the organization, but at the time I didn't feel as though I was ready.
Okay.
And so I allowed that opportunity to go by me, and then I ended up waiting, thinking that something was going to happen in the fall, but nothing ended up happening in the fall of '86. And so when the spring of '87 came, man, I was like, you know what? I'm not passing this up. I'm
Hmm.
not taking any chances. I'm not going to let it get by me again. I'm not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting ready to do this, and I'm about to make it happen. And so, I was blessed to have 6 other young men to join with me, and we had a great dean. We had a tough co-dean.
Hmm.
There were some great brothers that were on that campus that were doing some great things,
Right.
irregardless of the, what had happened at the party. They were doing some great things, man. And there were some great brothers, and they're currently doing some great things then. And, was able to join and become, a member of this great organization. And, to end this little piece, the brother who was in the lobby at the time confronting all of the guys in blue and white who we all know now are Sigmas, he ended up being my pledge dad.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And so, and the crazy thing about that is he had a shippy that was on his line and refused to accept, they refused to accept me unless I chose them both. So I think I'm the only, I might be the only alpha that has two pledge dads. So I'm lucky.
Right.
Wasn't so lucky during the process, but I'm
right.
lucky now.
Exactly. There are blessings, and then there are the other types of blessings.
Yes, sir. But it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
So describe to me a little bit about. Ada has always been one of our stalwart chapters, and one of the chapters that is known not just for the throwing of parties, because back in our day, Western was a party school, but Ada was always distinguished with being a chapter that did the work of Alpha, and did the work for the community. What was it like for you as a member, as a college brother? Like, what types of things did you see, that you participate in, that help instill in you the spirit of Alpha?
Well, I can speak to what the chapter was doing, but I can't speak to what I was actually doing as a member of the chapter, because I ended up only lasting one semester.
Okay.
And, after that semester, I ended up getting kicked out and sent home.
Okay.
Now, that being said, okay, I take full responsibility for that, because, the brothers were actually active on campus, like any organization, whether it's BSA, any student-led organization that involved predominantly Black students or what have you. We had brothers like Archie Hubbard, who was leading the way, serving as president. Chris Washington, they were serving as presidents of these organizations. And so we were doing the chapter was doing the work, and the chapter was graduating brothers as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, brothers were actually, taking their academics seriously and actually graduating and moving on to bigger and better things. And, I wish I knew how many Ada brothers, I think, let me just go in the last 20 years that have came through, man, that have graduated from Western Illinois and have stayed to go to grad school.
Okay.
Like, that has been a big thing now with Ada chapter, brothers graduating and then sticking around and going to grad school. And so, everything that I did as a college brother was not a reflection of not only Alpha Phi Alpha, but Ada chapter. And so I thank God for my shippies, who stuck around, who did the work of Alpha as a college brother, who, served in leadership roles, because if it was left up to me, the chapter would have been dormant. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't even have a chapter. And I credit that to, I credit, I blame myself, because, once I realized, and I tell people this all the time, once I realized that there were no parent-teacher conferences, or, and my mama wasn't gonna find out if I didn't go to class or anything, man, I lost my freaking mind. You know what I'm saying? I was by myself. I ain't got to answer anybody. You know what I'm saying? I was kicking it, and I kicked it a little bit too much. Um, and you know, although my GPA did drop, it wasn't so much the GPA that got me kicked out because they were going to put me on academic probation. Bro, I was kicking it so much I didn't even fill out my FAFSA. And so, yes, true story. Like, you know, that's why I'm always so in awe of college brothers. You know, that I see at conferences and conventions, because they, you know, they're able to maintain academics, do the work of alpha, do additional work. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
at the college and universities, attend conferences and conventions. I didn't have that maturity, and I think also during that time, and I know you remember this, in the rubric, you didn't have to attend classes. You didn't get participation grades.
Nope.
You know, and my first semester, I used to see, people come into class, or they would come to class, they would get the syllabus, and then you didn't see them until test time.
Right.
And I'm sitting
Right.
here wondering, like, where's all these people?
Mhm.
And what's going on? And so once I found that out, I was like, man, I'm not going to class either. But because I am a more of a visual learner, and and more of an auditory learner, I have to be in the classroom, I have to be listening, and I have to be actually watching. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like if you give me something to say, here, just read this, and then like I gotta ask questions, like I gotta have someone there, and it got better as I got older. You know what I'm saying? Because although I did, and I know you're probably gonna bring this up or ask me about it, but although I did get kicked out, I ended up going back and getting my degree in criminal justice at the University of Illinois Springfield. But at the time, being as immature as I was, I had to learn how to study. I had to learn how to take tests, because I say this all the time, and when going to school in the 70s, it's not the same. And I'm talking about middle school,
Right.
and primary school. It's not the same as going to school now.
Absolutely.
There are so many ways to diagnose someone if they have a learning disability or what have you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, and at some point, I kind of wondered if I had a learning disability, and I just wasn't putting the effort in. When you have something like that, you have to put more effort into
Right.
actually studying. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it just comes natural to people, but it didn't really come natural to me like that.
And this is what I think is important and impressive about your story, as we've talked about this before, is because you came back. There is the thing that people used to say that I used to hear when I myself dropped out of school, and people then started telling me, it doesn't matter when you finish, what matters is that you finish.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that you came back and that you're honest about your experiences, which I think is the other important part.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we like to pretend that, we were poly perfect when we were in college,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we did everything right and everybody had 4.0s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think your story is important because it shows what can happen when, you can take a detour for a minute, but you can come back to it
Yeah.
and finish your journey, and then go towards other things. I want to do then pivot, because I know you were inactive for a time, but you were kind of hanging out a little bit in the background with brothers and supporting where you can. But at a certain point, you were, would recruited be the right word to help recharter Kappa Pi Lambda, or
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
And so, what was that like for you in terms of coming back into the fold, helping with the rechartering of that chapter and getting involved at that point?
Well, brother, because we didn't have, I was at home, and of course, you can't do the work of Alpha at home if you don't have a chapter here.
Right.
And so, Brother Christopher Johnson, out of Zeta New Chapter, he, lifelong Peorian, just like myself. We went to rival schools. He um, kind of did some research and saw that, hey, man, there used to be a chapter chartered here,
Hmm.
and, back in the early 70s. And so he was like, man, we need to, we got a lot of brothers that are here in Peoria, and, we need to, get together and recharter this thing and start doing the work of Alpha. Because prior to that, when you say the inactive piece was me, basically back in my environment doing the things that other people were doing within the environment in order to survive.
Right.
Um and some of those things ended up costing me, almost costing me my life. It did cost me some of my friends' lives,
Hmm.
and it cost some of my friends to have to do some prison time. And so, and I was on that path. I was on that path. I have I tell people all the time, I have the bullet fragments in my back, to remind me that, um, I could have been one of those, that would have either been in jail or either been dead. But, God had another plan for me. And I thank him for it, and I thank God for it. And, I think, I think I'm thankful for the fact that I was actually given a second chance, because not a lot of people were given a second chance.
Right.
These are people that are really close to me.
Right.
And that's really what was going on before, um, and of course, I would see Chris all the time. You know what I'm saying? As brothers, we always, would spend time with each other and stuff,
Right.
all the bros and stuff. And we knew each other and we'd see each other at parties and different things like that. But now it was like, okay, you have this brother who has did all this research and everything, and it's like, hey, man, we need to make this happen. And so, we all took his lead, and was he was able to get Kappa Pi Lambda chartered. And I talk about it all the time, because I talk about the fact that we have two different periods in our history here at Kappa Pi Lambda.
Hmm.
And that's something that we need to actually document. And I think Brother Jimmy Moore is working on that right now.
Okay.
To actually capture the true history of Kappa Pi Lambda, because that was like a rebirth.
Right.
Because the chapter was basically dormant for well over a decade,
Hmm.
if not more. And so for him to have the foresight to say, hey, man, we need to do this. And from that point on, man, like, we started just doing national programs and and just doing events, you know what I'm saying, to kind of get our names out there and everything, and to get recognized. And I know at the time the Qs had this scholarship ball that they were doing, but that was basically the only thing that they were doing at the time.
Okay.
But because they were doing that, that was they were, they got a lot of exposure because of it. And
Right.
so, what we decided we were going to do was we weren't going to just do one event. We were going to do a series of events.
Hmm.
And there were several events that were happening at the time. Um, you know, we were doing a Alpha Nick, which was a picnic, and inviting people to come out, the community, and it was all free. I remember us doing something, where we supported sickle cell,
Hmm.
anemia, and just all kinds of different events at the time. But at that time, I was just kind of doing chapter stuff, and um, and then there was an opportunity to serve as an area director and an alpha advisor. And okay, well, I wasn't.
No, actually, no. You're going into, because I really
Okay,
wanted to. I want to ask you, and I mean, and part of the next question I was going to ask is a little personal for me, but because I like to bring this up. I mean, I know you did serve as Area Six director, but as an Alpha advisor, I often say in my Alpha advisor trainings, I started off with saying that, welcome to the most thankless job in Alpha and the most rewarding job in Alpha at the same time.
Yeah.
And I actually got a little bit of that from a conversation you and I had once
Yeah.
about that. And the reason I want to bring that up is that you've always been, in the time that I've worked with you, you've always been as such a staunch advocate for college brothers.
Yeah.
And you have fiercely advocated and defended the rights of college brothers and the actions of college brothers. To the, it's been a little bit, not a little bit, it's been inspiring for brothers like myself who were coming up in leadership behind you and watching the way you advocated. Was that based on, was that based as your experience as an alumni advisor, or you're looking at your past experience when you were a college brother, or how did that passion for supporting college brothers come about?
Well, when I got the opportunity to serve as an alpha advisor and an area director, and when I learned, the roles and responsibilities of that position, and then interacting, with the college brothers at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, I'm looking at these young men, and I'm saying to myself, they're doing everything that they are supposed to do at this particular time, and I wasn't able to do that. How can you not? And I'm speaking for myself right now. How can you not respect, a group of young men that were able to do something that you weren't able to do? Like, these young men are, to me, are just like, I'm in awe of them. I'm amazed. And there's no, when I see, a Johnny E. Brooker III, get up and give a passionate address.
And for the record, Brother Booker that you just mentioned is the current assistant regional vice president.
Yeah, and
he's been with her before,
example.
But I just want to make sure people know who he is. But
So I'm just using him as an example because there are hundreds of brothers that I can say, that can do this, that had the ability to get up and speak so eloquently, to and address a group of adult men, professional men, intelligent men. Like, I couldn't even imagine myself doing that. I couldn't even imagine myself doing that. And and with all the college brothers that maintain their academics, and in some cases, they have things that are going on in their personal lives. When I was Illinois District Director, Brother James Elam, with all the stuff that was going on with him personally, at home, with his grandfather, and him being the primary, while in college, while serving as assistant district director 2 years, and just man, like you wouldn't even know that he was even having the issues that he was having, at home, if he didn't tell you, because the brother was just sharp. And I've met so many sharp college brothers, and I'm constantly meeting sharp college brothers. And I tell them all the time, man, like you're already far ahead of where I was at this particular time. If I can be in this position right now, just think of where you can be. Right. And so it really started. I didn't think about it until I got the position. But then, I had to go back to how I, was as a college student. Right. And so, one of the things I had to do, and I had to go back to school, and I had to finish school. And I had to do it for 2 reasons. Number one, because I needed to finish something that I started. That was just too important to me. But also, how am I, as an alumni brother? Because I need brothers to understand, if for some reason you join the organization at the college at the college level, and you don't graduate, you can join an alumni chapter. You're in the fraternity. You know, you don't have to graduate. We want you to graduate, but you
Right.
don't have to be a graduate of a college or a university if you've already been inducted into the organization. That's why I was able to join Kappa Pi Lambda without
Right.
having a degree. And a
Right.
lot of times, brothers, kind of, you know, they don't know if they can join or not. That's why we need to stop using the term graduate chapter. It's not a graduate chapter, it's an alumni chapter, you know. But you know, it I just I had to finish, because how am I going to tell these young men that they need to continue to focus on their academics when I didn't do it when I was at their level?
Right.
At least they're still in school,
Right.
At least they're doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, and so, I had to at least go back to school and get my bachelor's degree. And in doing so, it benefited myself and my family, because I noticed a huge increase in my salary.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it was
There's that.
amazing. Like it was amazing. Like, I'm like, oh man, okay, well, this is great. Um, so yeah. I mean, that was very, very important to me, and just being able to just have to communicate with these young brothers, because I mean, I've been in the field of youth development for more than half my life.
Right.
I do it, as a middle school and school suspension teacher, and before that, as a foster care counselor, and before that, working in group homes, and doing after school programs and latchkey programs and stuff like that and everything. I'm always around young people, trying to encourage them to continue their academics and just not make the same mistakes that I did.
Right. Exactly. And I
And
think
be a
that's
living
important.
example. Be a living
Right.
example.
And so, I mean, you served in a number of capacities, as we mentioned. I want to talk briefly, just very briefly, because I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but I want to talk briefly about your time as district director, as Illinois district director. So you famously talk about the fact that you initially had no intention on running for district director, and then you were approached by a college brother, and I always forget where the particular college brother was from, but that they approached you and suggested that you should run for district director. What was that like for you?
Well, let me correct you
Okay.
a little
Okay.
bit. Um, I had served as executive director
Right.
under the Roselle McKinney administration.
Right.
And, I was really satisfied with being executive director. I really was. I had no desire to be district director. And, I thought that this was going to be it. We did our 4 years. It was great. We had elected a new district director. I was still serving as area director.
Right.
I was still serving as area director.
Right.
I don't think I was an alpha advisor. I think I had moved on from that position. Thank God for Byron Shabazz and Dr. D'Angelo Taylor. You know what I'm saying? They were able to take some load off of me.
Right.
But I was still an area director, and I really didn't have any desire to go any further. But we had a district conference in Peoria, and we were in the business session, and in the Illinois Constitution, the district director's role is a 1-year role for 4 years max. And so every year, the vote came back up for Illinois district director. And, I was sitting there and I was listening to it, and And all of a sudden, Brother Manny Campbell out of Tall Chapter
Hmm.
stood up and said, "I nominate Brother Frank Stacy to be the next district director."
Right.
And when I tell you, my heart dropped to my stomach. Quincy looked at me and was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" Because everybody knows
Right.
that if I'm getting ready to do something, you know, if anybody knows, he knows.
Right.
And I just started shaking my head. And afterwards, I found out that there was another brother that was supposed to do the second, and he saw me shaking my head, and he didn't do it, and so the motion ended up dying. So after that happened, I got up. I was like, Manny, come here. I'm like, bro, what is going on? And he said, well, in true college brother fashion, this is why I love the college brothers. He was like, well, I sent you a text message, you know, three, 3 minutes before I was getting ready to do it. And I'm like, bro, it was so funny when he said it. And I said, okay. I said, well, like let's go to my room. Let's talk. And let's just find out what's on your mind. And he came with several Illinois college brothers. Like, he didn't come by himself. And they said, and I sat in a room. I listened to their concerns, and I told them. They, long story short, not getting into too deep into the conversation, I saw they convinced me that there was a need for me to continue in leadership for the purposes of ensuring that college brothers continue to have a voice, and that college brothers continue to be, treated as equals.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, after they left, I looked at Quincy and I said, I guess we're running for district director. You notice I said we.
Right. Well, and I do want to reference, because we did have Brother Banks on 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I did ask him about the Frank and Quincy show, if we want to call it, and he spoke a little bit about because I asked him about how you guys how you hooked up, how you got together, and your outstanding work relationship that you have exhibited both on the district and the regional level. And it's been, a lot of us have been really appreciative of the way you two have worked together and the teams that you have created. I will say, and again, going back to the college brother thing, as someone who served under you as an alumni advisor while you were district director, you were right. You were always a fierce advocate for making sure that the college brothers' voices was heard, and encouraging us advisors to remind them to have their voices heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always appreciated that during your tenure. And so fast forward a little bit, we get to the point towards the end of your tenure as district director. And I remember coming up to you and saying to you, I was like, so Frank, when you gonna run for regional vice president? Nah, Smoot, I ain't running. I remember that exactly. And then maybe about 2 months later, I get a text message, Frank's running for regional vice president. And I think I sent you a text like, I think you lied to me, man. But I mean, tell me, because one of the things that, and we can laugh and we can joke, but, we have some people that are, how do I want to say this? They're always looking at what's the next role that they can run for, and what's the next role that they can fill. And I don't think we really can say that about you. You do what you can do, so where you can be of service.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what was the impetus, and what was the, and not going into a whole bunch of detail, because I'm sure it's a very detailed story that you lied to me on, but what was
Lied
it
to
that?
a lot of brothers, man.
Yes, yes, you did. I ain't worried about the.
Lied
Oh,
to my
okay.
wife too.
Well,
Because
and
I told her after 4 years, Quincy coined the term, we're going out like the 90s Bulls. Remember we had the gold basketballs and everything?
yep.
Everybody signed them. Yeah, man.
And we forgot to mention that the Bulls came back after 2 years. So
I was told that
exactly.
during the conversation.
So what was the impetus for you deciding to run for regional vice president?
Well, let me first start by saying briefly, bro, that every time I've served this great brotherhood, it's never been for. I've never had any ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
I did the work, and I tried to do it as best as I possibly can, and for the sole purpose of this fraternity saving my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that day when Brother Johnson came to my house, and it changed my thought process, because I was always Frank the Alpha, but once I started doing the work of Alpha, it was like, okay, now you have to really be Frank the Alpha and get out there and do Alpha things, and represent the organization. That was very important to me.
Right.
But we had this, and when I say we, I'm talking about me and Quincy. We had decided that we were basically done. I didn't have a desire to be district director, and it was brought to me that this is something that I should consider, and the reason why. And they made a great argument, and it made sense. And so I ended up doing it. But then, I went into Kansas City, with the thought process that, hey, I think I did what I needed to do, and I served the District of Illinois, which is the largest district in the, in the Midwestern region, and I was able to, get to know a lot of great brothers, not just from the District of Illinois, but from other great districts within the Midwestern region, serve under all these regional vice presidents. It was just good. But then all of a sudden, three brothers, showed up, and one of them being Dr. D'Angelo Taylor, the other one being Brother Elliot Stubbs, and the other one being Brother Willard Hall, and said, hey, we need to have a conversation with you. And that conversation was, I mean, it kind of felt like we're kind of going to give you an offer you can't refuse, because they didn't let up. I mean, I didn't find a horse head in my bed or anything like that.
I'm
but,
sure knowing Brother Hall that came close.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, this is the third week in a row Brother Hall has been referenced on the Fireside chat. Come on now. I think someone's trying to tell us something.
But they sat down and they talked to me, and I had the privilege of addressing the District of Indiana, and Brother Stubbs was there, and I kind of joked and said he put something in my drink and everything, but they spoke to me, in a way that at the end of the conversation, I was 50-50. I was 50-50. And one of the things that you don't hear from me, I believe that one of the reasons why I continue to get asked to serve in these roles, in these positions, and I don't quote Bible studies or Bible verses. If you ever notice in my speeches, I don't quote Bible verses, and I don't quote famous people. But I have to quote our 34th General President, Marcus Tillman, when he said that your work has to enter the room before you do.
Right.
And so, I guess, and maybe someone can confirm this, that because of my passion for this organization, because this organization took me from who I was to who I am now. And because, I was out here fighting for my life, and I knew that I had to do something, brother, to make a change, because I was constantly seeing people around me just not make it.
Right.
I credit this organization for saving my life. And
Right.
so, I wanted to work hard at it. It wasn't because, oh, one day I'm going to be the whatever.
Right. Right.
I wanted to work hard, and that's really what I did. I wanted to work hard, and I wanted to, and I wanted to learn as much as I can learn. And I wanted to have, you know, people around me that knew a lot, so that if I didn't know some things, then I had people around me that knew. You know what I'm saying?
And that leads to when we had Brother Banks on a couple of weeks ago. And the one thing that I said to him that I noticed that has made working under your administration comfortable is I've looked at the teams that you guys have put together. And I've looked at how effective these teams are and these committees, and looking at your chairman and that you
Hmm.
have assigned, and they are really good. And I think you've done a really good job. And I think there's a interesting vision in the type of brothers you put together and put on these committees. And so that goes into my point, and we're going to start wrapping up in a minute, but that goes to my point, goes to my next question of your vision for the Midwest region, and what you see, how you, the type of regional vice president that you see yourself, and what do you see you want to bring to the region under your administration and even afterwards.
Well, I take pride in saying that, I purposely surround myself with people who are smarter than I am. That way I know I have the right person in that position.
Hmm.
When we were choosing people to lead, or when we were choosing brothers to lead, I kind of got a little bit of slack when I was asking for like resumes, and asking brothers to tell me what it is that they wanted to that they what expertise that they have. The reason why I did that was because I had so many brothers that were telling me, if there's anything you want me to do, just let me know. And I could easily say, okay, this is what I want you to do.
Right.
And then what the brother's going to do is say, okay, because he doesn't want to say no.
Right. Right.
But then he may not have the expertise in that field,
Hmm.
and he may not be the best person for that job. Everyone who's holding a position right now in the Midwestern region knows how to do that particular job better than I. It
Hmm.
is my responsibility to put the right people in the position, get out of their way, allow them to do them, because they're serving the brothers in the Midwestern region. They're not serving me. They're serving the brothers in the Midwestern region. I know everybody serves at the pleasure, but I look at it as you're serving the brotherhood. That's who you're truly serving. Okay.
I
And,
agree.
and
I
I
agree.
want I want everyone to have the same desire and passion that I have to
Right.
serve the brotherhood. My job is to assist you in whatever it is that you need, get obstacles out of your way, allow you to, to do what it is you're able to do. And I think and that's always been my leadership style. It's
And,
it's always been my leadership style, because I want people to know that they are appreciated,
right.
you know.
And I think where I was pushing back a little bit is because you have ability to inspire people through your leadership, and so that it makes those of us who are working under your leadership want to do better to make sure we don't make you look bad. So
Oh, I'm
yes.
gonna I'm gonna be
So
your biggest cheerleader.
yes.
Trust me.
And you'll be our biggest critic because you will
Yeah. Yeah,
so that
yeah,
works.
yeah.
But
I'm going to be your biggest supporter. I'm going to be
right.
your biggest everything. You know.
But let me move forward to your vision for the region moving forward. What types of things do you see? Do you want to bring to the table, and that you would like to see happen?
Well, moving forward, of course, everyone knows that I'm at the end of my second year, so
Hmm.
I had to um, I had to I guess submit my application to become a certified candidate,
Hmm.
which I did. I'm looking forward to serving another 2 years.
Hmm.
But during those 2 years, I'm really going to spend a lot of time making sure that number one, we begin to prepare for the next administration. I don't want, and I want to say this now, I don't want whoever um, has the thought process right now that they want to be the next regional vice president to kind of wait to begin having conversations with me.
Hmm.
I want to be able to have these conversations with you. I want to be able to talk to you, encourage you, and so that the transition can be easier.
Right.
It'll be more of a 2 year transition as
Right.
opposed to a short, however many months transition from the regional convention to the July convention.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's very important to me. I want to make sure that um, whoever serves, at the pleasure of the regional vice president, but for the brotherhood, that they're actually serving because they truly want to serve.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, if you're holding a title and you have not produced in the last 2 years, we're gonna have to rethink some things. You
Hmm.
know, so many times our college chapters get into trouble for whatever reason.
Hmm.
Um, they're not receiving information that they're supposed to receive, and all the blame is placed on them.
Right.
Well, they have an experienced advisor. They have an experienced
Properly
area
trained.
director that's
Properly
properly
trained.
trained. They have an experienced district director. They
Right.
have an experienced uh, uh, alumni chapter that is advising them. I'm not going to just put it off on them
Right.
going forward.
Right.
Like I'm going to be looking at, okay, are they actually receiving what it is that they
Hmm.
um, that they need in order for them to grow and in order for them to prosper. I'm going to continue to work with other regions to see what things they're doing,
Right.
and bring that back to the Midwestern region, and
Exactly.
then continue to be of service for the next regional vice presidents that are coming in. We're about to have 4 new regional vice
Right.
presidents,
Right.
and so I'm looking forward to being that person who they can come to and get information that they need and make sure that they're receiving the right information so they can take it back to
Right.
their regions, because although we may be separate regions, we're one brotherhood.
Right.
you know
Exactly. Exactly.
um I want to continue to grow the Midwestern region. The Midwestern region is constantly growing.
Hmm.
The District of Illinois, right there in
Yep.
the District of Illinois, we just have 2 new provisional chapters.
Right.
You
Right.
know, we just had a provisional chapter that became a full-fledged chapter
Hmm.
in Missouri. You know, I think now that Brother Jameson Taylor is about to in his term in Ohio. One of the things that he wanted to work on was taking all the dormant chapters that were in the District of Ohio and making them, chapters in good standing. I think he was able to do that, and I made sure to give him everything that he needed. You know what I'm saying, to
Hmm.
make that
Hmm.
happen. I think brother District Director Clark in the District of Kansas. There's a dormant chapter that's been dormant for over 20-something years that
Right.
he's now working to.
Okay. Good.
And so we have
Good.
we have dormant chapters that are now, that now have brothers in them. We have, um, going back to the Ghost Brother
Hmm.
program, with Brother Dan Franklin and
Right.
um, and Montgomery Prophet, who serves as the District of Illinois Executive Director. We constantly have men who are who for some unforsaken reason, their process, something went wrong and
Right.
they were
Right.
at the ritual, and now they're becoming whole. I met a brother in, where was I just at? Not not Indiana, but before that, John. I go somewhere every weekend, bro,
Right. Right.
and it'll come back to me. But I met him, and he thanked me, for having the opportunity. Kentucky, he thanked me for having the opportunity, to actually come back into the fold. And he's
Right.
been, it's been decades that he was
Hmm.
not able to actually come to a conference and a convention and
Right.
actually wear letters and things like that. And now he's getting engaged and stuff like that and everything. So man, it's just great, man.
It
And
is, and I'm excited to see what happens. I want to start winding up. I'm gonna ask you two more questions, and then we're gonna let you go. But the next regional Midwestern Regional Convention is coming up.
yes, sir.
That will be in Detroit, Michigan, March 20th to 23rd. We asked Brother Banks to talk a little bit about what to expect, but I would like to ask you, as the regional vice president, what can brothers expect in Detroit? And see what you say different than Brother Banks and when we have Brother Harry Todd on, the president of Gamma Lambda on. So, what can you tell brothers a little bit more about what we can expect in Detroit?
Well, I mean, I want to say something that is kind of not cliche to make it seem as if I am, trying to tell brothers that, hey, if you don't show up, you know what I'm saying, you're going to miss out.
Hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, if you don't show up, you are truly going to miss out. We're on track to having more brothers registered than we've ever had before.
Hmm.
We're on track to raising more money than we've ever had before. And I'm just going to leave it there because we are on track to doing those things. We talk
Hmm.
about them all the time. Um, I have a chapter in Gamma Lambda who, when I tell you, first off, let me just say that Gamma Lambda is the reigning two-time chapter of the year for
Don't
our
rub it.
organization.
Don't rub it in. Don't rub it in.
Okay. And I'm not trying to rub it in
I know, but
because
no,
you're in Psi Lambda or
it's
anything like
worthy to
that.
it's
I'm
worthy
not
to be
trying to rub
mentioned.
it in. I'm
No,
not
because those
trying
brothers do amazing work. So no,
that that's what
I'm
I'm
yes,
getting at.
yes, they
You
do
know,
amazing work.
they have been waiting for this opportunity, and this is what I need brothers to understand. They have been waiting for this opportunity for a very long time.
Hmm.
And they feel as though they have something to prove, you know. And when I tell you they are making it happen,
Hmm.
they are truly,
Hmm.
truly making it happen, bro. I mean, they are when I got a chance to visit the chapter um, at the house, and they had already began picking chairmen that were going to serve next to chairman in the Midwestern region. Every brother that stood up, you could hear it in their voice how much they appreciated this opportunity.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Hmm.
It's like they appreciated the opportunity to be able to do this in order to host the brothers in the Midwestern region.
Right.
They want everyone to come so that they can just say, hey man, we want you to enjoy yourselves. We want you to have fun. We want to roll out the red carpet for you here in the city of Detroit. And I was very adamant about us actually being in the city of Detroit.
Right,
You know
right,
what I'm saying?
right.
That was important to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Because of course, we're coming. The alumni chapter is chartered in Detroit, but they've done a lot of work in that city, and so I'm just going to say, I don't want to say the usual same thing that, yeah, and brother RT just mentioned, like our life membership breakfast is now sold out.
Right, right.
You know, it's now sold out. Because I mean, who wouldn't want to come here, brother Hill Harper speaking?
Exactly, exactly.
Like they're really bringing out the big guns, for the brothers in the mighty Midwestern region. And so, the only thing that makes me nervous is, am I going to be able to top it? You know what I'm saying? The following year. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
That's the only
I'm
thing that makes me nervous.
I'm sure you will find a way to do so.
Hey,
Um,
I'll have a year to work on it, bro.
exactly. All right, brother Stacy, it has been a pleasure. I want to bring brother McKinnis back on real quick as we get ready to tone down. But I have one final question for you,
Okay.
and it is a question I want you to give some good thought to. Um, who are, in your opinion and in your time, who are the hardest working brothers in Alpha, and why were they made in the spring of '87?
Bruh, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you. The spring of '87 was just a magic
Magical time.
in Alpha. I mean, a magical time in Alpha. Um, it was every line that came through spring of '87. I think that was, those guys were brought into this organization for the sole purpose of making sure that we would be able to be around to carry this great organization to the next level. They saw something in us that they knew. Look at the times we're dealing with right now. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Look at the times. Someone prophesied that spring 1987 brothers needed to be around in order to lead us, further and get us out of the mess that we are in right now in our United States government. And so,
Brother McKinnis, are you listening?
so
I'm gonna be honest, brother Stacy. I've been, from the minute we confirmed that you were gonna be on with the Fireside Chat. I had that question planned specifically so I could give my district director a little bit of guff, because I know he thought I was going to say something else. So, and,
and he already ain't feeling good.
and he already ain't feeling well. He already ain't
looks beat
feeling
down.
well.
Don't he look beat down?
Yeah. And that just made it worse, because they just, the spring '87, the Theta and the Eta thing coming together. They just,
Oh yeah.
don't know how to deal with it. But
Wouldn't be no 8-8 if it wasn't for Theta.
And we are happy to be a part of the larger rubric and to be able to hang out. And with that saying, brother Stacy, it has been a definitive pleasure. I want to thank you again for taking time. I know your schedule is busy. I do thank you for your time, for your leadership, and for being a brother, and being a friend of someone that that we can go to. Before I hand it over to brother McKinnis, just a couple of quick things, housekeeping. For anyone that's watching, if you have missed any of the previous Black History Month editions, please go to our YouTube channel. Please go to our Facebook. View the conversations we had with the Honorable Michael Blake, that we had with our Regional Executive Director Quincy Banks, that we had with Gamma Lambda President Harry Todd, as I mentioned earlier, and with our distinguished brother, Brother W.C. Campbell from the Champaign area. We have two more fireside chats coming up. We will be having chats with both of the assistant regional vice president candidates. We have not in the year that we have been doing this, we have not featured College Brothers as our guests yet. And Brother District Director and I had a conversation. Said this is a perfect way for us to introduce and to have conversations with dynamic college brothers who are actively doing the work of Alpha and working in their community. And what better way to showcase college brothers than to showcase two brothers who are vying for the role of Assistant Regional Vice President. So we are looking forward to having those brothers on within the next week or week and a half. So we do want to thank you. We remind everyone to hit like and subscribe, particularly on our YouTube channel. Subscribe so you can follow us and get notified when we have additional episodes. And with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to our District Director, Brother McInnes, and to give you the parting words.
Thank you, Brother Smoot, and to Brother Stacy. Such a great conversation tonight. You know, the stories you told, one about your personal experiences, both in college and after the fact. Those are courageous stories. And I think it was Brother OK Inia who put up a while ago that he appreciated that kind of transparency. Someone needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Someone needed to hear
Absolutely.
that,
Absolutely.
you know, not finishing college when you thought you would finish means that it's over. Someone needed to hear what, you know, I'm going to call your resurrection story. And that was such a powerful narrative, Brother Stacy. But it's been great, Brother Smoot. I'm going to leave it there and continue to rest. Thank you so much, Brother Stacy, for joining us tonight. And to all those listening, both on YouTube and Facebook, we appreciate it. And Brother Smoot, let me just say in front of our RVP how much I think all of us appreciate the work that you do as an historian and archiving these stories. They're just so important. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. And last
Someone
thing,
is at the side door.
Brother Stacy, any parting words you would like to leave with us?
Someone's at the side door.
Someone's at the side door.
Besides that, you know, maybe you got a delivery comment.
Right?
You,
Hey, just put it on the ground.
that's what I said. The delivery. Somebody ready to eat.
All right. Appreciate it. All right, bro. All right, man. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. You know, hey.
Hey, it's live. It's live.
Hey,
This is what happens. This is what happens.
You know, I just want to say thank you, Brother District Director McInnes. This is, you know, when I first saw you, you know, had this idea, I thought it was like really a great idea, and it's something that, you know, you will be able to coin and take credit for, you know, during your administration. And, you know, having Brother Smoot join in with you and doing this, you know, I mean, it's perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's perfect. I couldn't think of another brother who could be able to do this. But I do want to just say, you know, to the brothers of the mighty Midwestern region, just, man, thank you so much for allowing me to serve as your regional vice president. You know, I say that I'm going to say this so many times, it's just going to make you sick. And I don't care, because it's just the truth. Like, I am nothing without you guys, like nothing. I mean, to hear the constant, you know, praise and the prayers from brothers. You know, I appreciate the fact that brothers take me seriously when I say, if there's something that you have an issue with, that you have a problem with, please share that with me. And it's not just, you know, words, and it's not just rhetoric, you know. You know, I will do everything in my power to continue to serve you. You know, one thing you don't have to worry about is me just being a vice president that is just all talk. I know, you know, it's been talked about, you know, about my sternness or you know, my seriousness when it comes down to certain things. But I can tell you, the reason why I'm fair is because I can back it up with our code of conduct. I can back it up with our Constitution, and I can back it up with our IMDP manual. These are not things that I just do because I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is the Frank Stacy way. No, everything that I do is the Alpha way.
Right.
first and foremost.
Right.
But I do recognize that there's no way that I would be able to do what it is that I'm able to do without the support and the love and the prayers of all the brothers in the Midwestern region. And I just appreciate each and every last one of you. And not only do I appreciate you, but I appreciate your families, because it is so important to let them know how much you appreciate them, and allow them, because they allow you to serve, and when you're at a conference, when you're at a convention, when you're on a Zoom with me or a district director or whomever, or in a committee, that's time away from your family, that's time away from your wives, your children, you know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, just know that I so appreciate your families, and I definitely keep all of you in my prayer, your families in my prayer, and just God bless you all. I mean, I love this brotherhood. I love each and every last one of you, and I'm going to continue as long as I have breath in my body. I'm going to continue to serve this great organization as much as I possibly can. So I
Let
just
me,
want
to that point, Brother Smooth, I'm going to say one thing about what Brother Stacey just mentioned. I can say, as serving as a district director under his leadership, that one element, it goes a long way, and that is that Brother Stacy, there is never a moment where a week or 2 weeks go by that he doesn't send a simple text to the DDs or to us individually that says, "How's the family? I don't want nothing. I'm
yeah.
just asking how your family is." And I'm gonna tell you the problem with this is that here's what wives do. Okay, here's what wives do. They threaten you with stuff like, "I just call Frank." The hell? What? You can do what? And
Oh,
that's a very real threat. And when Tamala says, I'm gonna just call Frank. I just, you know what? Don't worry about
and you
it.
know
Frank
what?
ain't
You're
gonna
not
listen
the
to us.
first one to
He don't
say
listen to
that.
us. He don't listen to
hmm
So
And
brothers, don't have your wives call me. All right.
right, right. That's why I have not introduced you to anybody, Brother Stacy. So, and and with that, brothers, we do want to Brother Stacy, thank you again. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for sharing your leadership, and just thank you for being a brother's brother. Brother McKinnis, thank you, and hope you feel better soon.
Yes, get well
And we
soon.
will be checking on you, and looking forward to seeing you all in Detroit in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So we're gonna have a good time.
All right.
All right. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care.
Take care.